All right. Hello, everyone, and thank you for tuning in for another Authors Impact Hub podcast. I am your host, Juanita Woodson, founder of the Authors Impact Hub, and we've been going really strong with our author Q&As all across the U.S., so I'm super excited to have one of our community members on with us this evening. So I want to say he's like one of our founding members, right? When we first got started, he was one of the first authors to join the Authors Impact Hub. So, of course, I always let the authors do their own introduction. So, tonight we have Dr. Josias Jean-Pierre on with us. So, I'm going to pass it over to you if you can just share a little bit about yourself and your background. Well, the title of the book we're going to be discussing.
Yeah, I'm Dr. Josias Jean-Pierre. I just received that title 2024, which is an honorary doctorate. Received 3 Presidential Lifetime Achievement Awards for my literary work and also the stages I speak on. I'm an execution coach, and what I do is I help others to be empowered so they can be equipped to elevate fully into whom God created them to be with no limits. And the book we're going to talk about today is actually my 5th book that's called My Hurt Taught Me, but My Pain Motivated Me.
Yes, absolutely. Yes. So I know 2024 was an impactful year for you, right? So you were on a lot of different platforms, a lot of awards. So I'm super excited to learn a little bit more about how you've accomplished all of those things in what may seem like a short amount of time, but we'll learn a little bit more about that. So what message do you want people to gain from reading your books? All of your books.
Oh, okay. The message that I wanted to gang is really they're not an accident. I always say you're born on purpose for a purpose and with a purpose. And when life comes the way it comes, don't see it as a punishment, but see it as a moment of impact. When you cook food, you have different seasonings to make the food better. And how I see trials, tribulations, I see it as when life comes out of your control, it's just a season that's being added for impact. Because behind every mess of life is a powerful message, and behind every test is a powerful testimony, and behind every misery is a powerful ministry. So even though if it seems like you're getting frustrated, you're getting punished, ask yourself, God, what is this in this season?
Yeah.
What's happening in this season, and why am I in what I'm facing right now? Because it's beyond my control. I didn't put myself in there; it just happened, and that's what I call when life be lifing.
Yeah. That's so funny. Absolutely. So my mom says, the way that she says it is life happens, right? So pretty much the same thing. And we know that there are some things that are totally out of our control, but we know that our perspective can kind of make a difference in if you move forward or if you go backward. So absolutely. So when you wrote your book, My Hurt Taught Me, but My Pain Motivated Me, what season of life were you in?
I was in a season of life of holding on to unforgiveness.
Okay.
What that means is when I was a child, my father said, never call me dad, not your dad, call me pastor. So I'm a young black boy going through America, being told by his logical father, don't call me dad. And for 23 years of my life, I called this man pastor. Now I'm over here trying to figure out, God, who are you? Like, why
Mm.
is this man telling me he's not my dad, calling him pastor? If you don't want to call people to preach, who are you? Who am I? So I was in a season really having dealing with this father wound and looking for a father's love and father's guidance. I never had it as a child. And I witnessed 14 years of my life seeing this man beat my mom. So this man who was preaching God's words, beating my mom for my first 14 years of my life, for 23 years of my life, I'm dealing with his father wound, aching for father's love, father's guidance. I never heard him any father tell me they're proud of me, I love you, I want to see you. I never heard that as a child. So here I am dealing with unforgiveness, not knowing how to forgive because it didn't make sense for me to let it to forgive. And
Yeah.
I realized that in a moment of time that my hurt is what led me to purpose. My hurt taught me that if I don't choose to forgive, I'm killing myself. And unforgiveness is like drinking poison, hoping the other person dies. My pain motivated me to now to be an impact to others who were in my shoes to let them know if you don't heal, you can't grow. Like
Yeah.
the frozen, let it go, let it go. You
Yeah.
got to let it go for your growth. And the first part of impact starts with you. So if you cannot pour from an empty cup, and if you're broken yourself, what you're going to do out there is break other people. And And that's what happens when motivates me to write that book, is because a lot of people see the glory, but they don't know the story. And they don't
Yeah.
know the dime, the cuts, the pressure, the trial, tribulation. So I say, you know what, God, you brought me through a lot. And I learned a lot because from the hurt. But I'm not motivated because of the hurt. So now let me talk about it to help others around to know that, hey, if you're in it, it's because there's something bigger on the other side waiting for you for impact.
Absolutely. That can be tough though, right? Especially if you're talking about, I grew up, there's this man who I know was my biological father, right? So you didn't grow up not knowing who your dad was. You know who he is, but you didn't have that bond with him. So, of course, you mentioned forgiveness. So I do have to ask, what is that relationship that you have with him now, if you're able to share? Did it get any better?
We communicate more often. I wouldn't say it's stronger and better, but I would definitely say that there's growth in our communication.
Okay. Okay. Well, that's important, right? Because I know you touched on forgiveness. So I just wanted to ask that, like, what does that look like for you now? So anybody that's listening, that's like, hey, my journey is a little bit similar to Josiah's. I wonder what that will be like for me in the future. Will I ever have that bond, that relationship with my dad? Because it's necessary, right? Dads are very important in our
Mhm.
lives. So I can't imagine, what you face, especially as a PK. So that's something we have in common. We're both PKs, so that's very different. So I'm sorry that you had to experience that. Absolutely. So what role has faith played in your journey as an author, but then now as an internationally known author and speaker?
Man, my faith is the center of it all.
Yeah.
Uh, I always say the acronym of faith is fully activated in the heavens, and the doors that are opening in my life in the season right now, it's all God. You talk about an impact with no website, an impact with no YouTube presence, no social media presence, just word of mouth. People sharing things word of mouth, making so much impact. Um, at 13 years old, I saw this as a vision of me writing books and traveling throughout and impacting lives throughout the country. And people have always said, Josiah, stop believing that. You studied too much. You're in special education. I was diagnosed with epilepsy as a baby. Thank God it's been 18 years epilepsy free. Never had another episode for 18 years. By 13 years old, 18 years ago, that was when I was delivered from epilepsy. But people have always said, Josiah, look at you. And I just
Yeah.
chose to believe that the vision that I saw through dreams was my purpose in life to make impact and believe that that's what God should call me to do. And because I saw it before I saw it, I executed it. You know, faith without works is dead. And I would say if you got to see it to believe it, you'll never see it or believe it. But if you believe it before you see it, then you will see it. And faith requires us to believe it before we actually see it. The word of God says, call those things as if they are. I'm not there yet, but I'm speaking into existence. I may not see it right now, but I see it in the spiritual realm. So I'm going to manifest it in the physical realm. And that's what it's been doing. So my faith in my journey of impact is a cornerstone of it all. I made a post not too long ago saying, if God is not in the center, I don't want no part of it. You know,
Absolutely.
I rejected over 100 engagements just because it'll make me compromise my faith, my morals,
Right.
and values. And I always tell people, if I have to compromise my faith and my morals and my values, it is not that serious.
Absolutely. And that's important, right? Because we're not supposed to it's not going to last long, right? If you have to compromise who you are, right? Your morals, your values, your true beliefs, then it's not going to last long.
Yeah.
So I think that's very important to point out. So we know you've received multiple national and international awards, right? So we've been connected on social media 2024. So I've been able to see you like really show up, investing in yourself. So what do those recognitions mean to you and how have they influenced your work?
Oh, wow. Good question. Those recognition means to me, reach one, teach one.
Yeah.
Each one, reach one, reach one, teach one. And what that means is I was never focused on the thousands.
Yeah.
I was focused on the one. And I always said there's somebody out there who needs to hear this message. Don't know who, but somebody out there needs to hear this message. And to see, the word says you reap what you sow. And to see the things I've been sowing the last
Yeah.
14 years is now coming to a reaping season. I'm just like, God, wow. At first I didn't want it. I told people I don't want these awards. I don't want this recognition. Even when it comes to honorary doctor, I was like, I don't want it. But somebody was like, you have to accept what's given to you because you planted, for all these years, and you're reaping. You're just in your reaping season, and this is just a reflection of what it looks like when God is in it.
Yeah.
And what this means for me is, God, whatever you're doing in the season, just don't do it without me.
Absolutely. 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 So you've taken that step of faith and you share your own personal story, which has opened up the door for you to become, like I said, a national and internationally known author and speaker. So what advice would you give to someone who's thinking about sharing their personal story, maybe similar or different from yours, and they're hesitant, they're not sure, what people may say?
Yeah, the best advice first I would say is this: make sure you are speaking from a place of healing,
That's
not
good.
from a space of being broken.
Yeah.
So if that means you have to go to therapy, please go to therapy. I
Absolutely.
know in our communities, therapy is not known. Therapy is not known. I advise go to therapy
Absolutely.
because that's part of your self development. And you don't want to speak from a place of toxicness because then you're going to vomit toxicness. But
Yeah.
when you speak from a place of healing, then you'll have transformation manifesting. So my advice is make sure you're at a place of healing, and make sure that your focus is there's somebody who needs to hear how I came over. This too shall pass. And it's true, this too shall pass. But we are overcomers by the blood of the Lamb, by the word of our testimony. And somebody else needs to hear your story because they can have an overcoming story also themselves. And without a testimony, then how can you overcome?
Absolutely. I love that. Thank you so much for sharing that. So, what's been like the most impactful or memorable moment for you in your author journey so far?
Woo! My most impactful, memorable moment for me, I gotta show. I had to show.
Okay.
Um, it was when. Let me see if I have it in here. Yes. So this guy, his name is Mika Bean. He's a Haitian artist. Michael
Okay.
Benjamin. He's a Haitian artist who passed away after performing live in Canada in 2022. And this is where you don't know who's watching. I'm Haitian, and the Haitian community reached out to me on Instagram, and they said, "Hey, the Haiti Open Magazine reached out to me on Instagram saying, hey, we've been following your work, seeing your work from Haitian to Haitian. We want you to write a contributing poem to about Michael Benjamin." I never,
Okay.
I know his music. I rock his music. I listen to his music.
Yeah.
But you just don't know who's watching, even
Right.
on a social media platform. I know I do poetry, and I always perform and do poetry, and I sometimes put clips on Instagram on my poems around justice and etc. So when they reached out to see that my own tribe, my own community, my own people were like, "Hey, we've been watching you for a long time. We want to know if you could write a contribute poem about Michael Benjamin that will go to Haiti Open Magazine, where that'll be shared to the world about him." And we want to have Haitian voices, the Haitian community, to really share their platform and their gift. And so what I did, I wrote a poem that was like 5 minutes. It took me 5 minutes. Write a
Okay.
poem. And I shared it, and I was in this magazine. And the reason why this is an honorable moment, because I always told myself, God, I want to be a blessing in one way to my Haitian community.
Yes. I love
God, I want to go back down to my tribe, my community, and be an impact and a blessing in any way, form, or fashion. So when I got that message from the Hate Up magazine saying, "Hey, we want you to come," I was like, "God, you did it."
Absolutely. I love that. And you're inspiring so many other people from your community that, hey,
Yeah.
look at me. I did it. You can do it too. So I think that's so important. So I know you wear a lot of hats, right? So how do you balance it all? How do you balance your work as a speaker, author, and leader, but also just regular everyday life? How do you balance all of it?
Oh, I'm still trying to figure that out. To be
My life.
honest, to be honest, the way I balance it is I look at priority. Um,
Yeah.
does what is required of me to speak on is a part of my passion and my desires?
Yeah.
Because the thing I always say is if I want to make sure it's lined up with my purpose.
Okay.
And if it's not lined up with my purpose, I don't want it. So how I balance it is one, anytime where something comes my way to either come and speak or come and do something, I always want to see what's the purpose of why you want me as a speaker. And I always ask that question, why me? Not because I don't feel like I'm fit for it, but however, I don't want to relay a message that you don't want to hear.
Yeah,
What I
absolutely.
won't do is tell you what you want to hear. And I feel like we have so much really good speakers out here in this world and not enough real transparent speakers. And I'm just a real transparent speaker who's not willing to compromise anything about me for your platform. Um,
Yeah.
and so how I balance it is really I take there's 24 hours in a day. Corporate America has me for 10 hours. The remaining 14 hours is my time. And
Yeah.
that's how I flow with what I do with my time. I have 14 hours remaining left of the day, and I just make things move how it needs to be moved that way.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I love that. So, what are some tips that you can then give to somebody who's first starting out as an author, right? What are some tips that you can give to them?
Okay, so anybody who's starting out as an author, getting your feet wet, getting your book out there, I first want you to, once you start writing that book, I want you to write where you see your book going.
Yes.
Where do you see your book going? Because what you don't want to have is write a book and you're like, what's next? And what you don't want to do is write a book and you don't see where it's going to go. And I want you to also join the Authors Impact Hub.
Yes.
Okay. Because you're going to be part of a community of writers who are going to push you, hold
Yeah.
you accountable, believe in you, and give you platform and resources that you could use to get your story out there. Because the Authors Impact Hub is focusing on getting your story out there and getting exposure. Exposure is big. So what
Yeah.
that's going to mean is I need you to have a budget when it comes to marketing. Have a budget. And don't join every marketing platform, but join a platform that lines up with your message. That's why it's very important for you to know what is your why. That's why it's very important to know where do you see your book going, because not every platform wants to get your book in their platform.
Yeah.
And third thing I'll say for any author is not just join Author Impact Hub, but figure out these three component questions. Why am I writing the book? Who is this book for? And where do I see the book going in the near future? Now we're talking about long term. I'm not talking about right now. I'm talking about in 5, 10 years, can the book still keep on having revenue? In the 5, 10, 7 years, can the can the book still have major impact? Because that's what vision does. And without vision, people will perish. And the last thing
Yeah.
you want is birth out a book that was within you and have it perish because of lack of vision.
Yeah. Absolutely. Listen, Jim Dropper, right? So you just said all the things that are important for somebody that's thinking about writing a book. Where do I start? So you want to make sure when you listen to this, you go back and you listen to that part again and again until you get it down in your spirit. I think that was very important. So what's next for you? So are there any new projects, any new events coming up that you're able to share for us?
Yes, new project. I am diversifying my genre. So I'm, a poet. I have a poetry book. My majority of my books are self-help, non-fictional books. I'm actually tapping into the children's book industry.
Yes.
So I have my first children's book about to be launched in the summertime, and I'm pretty excited because I never diversified my genre before, and it was heavy on my heart to relay a book to Black children,
Yes.
specifically Black boys. The title of the book is called "Dear Black Boy," um,
Yes.
and it's going to be a message of really encouragement, of words of encouragement, and the words that are uplifting. Because we have a media out there that has a negative message of Black
Yeah.
boys, and I just want to be able to, if there's positive reflection of who they could be, that's what matters to me.
Absolutely. Well, I'm excited. I'm excited to see what comes of this new endeavor of yours. So, how can we stay connected with you and be the first to know about those new books that you're dropping, new awards earned, right? So, we want to make sure we celebrate those wins right along with you because it'll motivate and inspire us to keep going and showing up as well.
You can definitely follow my Instagram. It's coach with underscore Josias, Josias. I put everything on there. My social media, Facebook is Josias Jean-Pierre. So you can follow me on Facebook, add me on Facebook, follow my Instagram. That's where I will go ahead and put the links and the social media platforms out there like that of what's happening next in my world.
Awesome. It's always an amazing conversation, right? So there's so much knowledge, so much that you healed and learned from that you're able to pour back into others so that they can step out on faith and share their own personal testimonies and grow too. So of course, we always end the show with that one last question, right? And that is, what impact do you want your journey and your author brand to leave on the world?
Good question. The impact that I want my journey and my author brand to leave on the world is this. There was somebody who was real enough to show their scars, and because of that, I am healed and I'm showing mine.
Yes, absolutely. I love that. So that means that you're able to go and do the same exact thing. Absolutely. As always, thank you so much for joining and sharing your story, sharing all those gems. Listen, I want to make sure I say that one more time. So when you listen, go back a couple minutes and listen to the gems that were dropped. Write it down if you need to. It's very important as you get ready to step out on faith and walk in your own author journey. Listeners, thank you so much for tuning into the Authors Impact Hub. Make sure that you don't just listen, that you like, you subscribe, leave a review, leave a comment of the episode tonight, and share it with somebody who needs that motivation. Until next time, take care.